From Jordan Field on the campus of Harvard University, this is the Ivy League on ESPN. Today, it's a non-conference matchup between crosstown rivals. It's the Harvard Crimson, and the Boston University Terriers here from Cambridge. Alongside Luis Sanchez, my name's Craig White. It's great to be here, and Luis, it's a matchup here this afternoon between a couple of teams who don't score a bunch of goals, but Harvard's a very good defensive unit, and they really have their focuses on this weekend when they've got a chance to get to the Ivy League tournament. BU will not be participating in the Patriot League tournament. It's really a late season, kind of awkward non-conference game hanging out here in the middle of the week. What are your expectations for this one?
Yeah, absolutely. You talked about both teams trying to play for something for Boston University. They're looking for an opportunity to kind of play spoiler here at the end of the season. They'll try to take on American after this game against Harvard. Before Harvard, top four teams make the Ivy League tournament. They haven't made it since 2017, 4-1 in the Ivy League tournament. There is a big matchup coming up against Brown, so hopefully they don't have their eyes set on that matchup against the Bears. They have to take care of business here against the Terriers of Boston University.
Harvard's coming in at 5-7 overall, 3-3 in the Ivy League. BU's at 2-13 in the overall and 1-7 in the Patriot League.
That's a Patriot League that's been pretty tough this year. Obviously, Loyola and Navy have dominated it in the past couple of years. How about Jen Adams? Hasn't lost a Patriot League game at the helm for Loyola there in the conference. But Boston University, we talked about it, they had a big win against Bucknell coming off of that win on the road, 11-10 in that final. Harvard coming back as well in a big series this past week. They had that loss against Princeton, but picked up a win against Columbia. So two teams that, again, are trying to right the ship here at the end of the season, make a push for the final playoff spots in their respective conferences. It should be exciting, especially when it's a rival between two crosstown teams.
Yeah, you mentioned the game on Saturday for the Crimson against Princeton. A 14-9 loss to the number 12 ranked Tigers. Game that was tied at halftime. Harvard actually had a lead 8-7 after three quarters. Eventually really just sort of fell apart in the fourth quarter.
Kind of been the story this year. A lot of close games for the Crimson. You see a couple of wins in their favor, but that 10-9 loss to Cornell. They lost 13-12 to Yale, and they were in these matchups. They just have to finish, and they haven't been able to do so far this year. They'll try to finish here, though. This is, as you talked about, two defensive teams, two teams that give up a lot of goals, so they'll play a lot of defense here.
Terriers are going to begin with the ball. Terriers are in red, Crimson primarily in white. It's something that Terriers really do well is draw controls, especially Jennifer Berry. Keep your eye on 21 in red this afternoon. Already set a single season program record for draw controls, 144 coming into the day. She is on watch for potentially surpassing the career mark. Needs 9 to tie Jill Horka, class of 2016, as the Terriers score. Opening possession. It's Toby Tick with a goal, her 16th of the year, and it's 1-0 Terriers.
Yeah, the sophomore did a really good job finding the open space, getting around, and then firing that shot on net. Chloe Provenzano had a chance to make the save, but the original shot coming from the right side, you're going to see it here develop, gets the feed right through the middle, and a nice bouncer on the ground. Another great start here for the Terriers here against a really good defense for the Crimson.
Terriers have not had good starts this season. It's really troubled them, plagued them throughout the year. Being outscored 74 to now 37, including that goal season long in first quarters, Lewis. It's something that spoke to Coach Lauren Morton about many times throughout this season, and she hasn't really quite had her finger on the pulse as to why the team hasn't been able to start well, but it's certainly been a point of emphasis for her and her group, and it's good to see them get off to a good start of the opening possession.
Well, now it's just how they respond, right? They lost the draw control here after scoring. They have to make a big defensive stop. You get a couple of stops, then you get a couple of goals in. We all know that lacrosse is a game of runs, so if you can manage the storm, for Boston University to walk away here with a victory.
Crimson with their first possession. Again, they were outscored 6-1 in the fourth quarter against Princeton on Saturday. Harvard working it all the way around, back behind the net. Couple of head fakes from Charlotte Clark. Out from the X comes Malahi. She leaves it off for Barkate. Barkate has got very good size and strength, puts it wide. The backup is there from Clark.
Just a tough shot there. It didn't really have the angle. Had to go for the low side there in between the pipes on Agris.
This comes from off the ball. Foul's going to be assessed to Kylie Cadigan. And it's just going to be a simple restart from behind the net with Malahi. Malahi, team leader in assists with 13. Gives it off and gets it right back. Harvard now losers of 3 of their last 4 after the defeat to number 12 ranked Tigers Saturday. Really felt like, Lewis, in that game, it just took Princeton a while to sort of figure out the Harvard zone defensively. It's now been what the Crimson have sort of been known for since Coach Wills has taken over, is their zone defense. We'll get more into that in a second here as a free position is upcoming for Harvard. From straight ahead, straight through, it deflected and ends up in the back of the net. It's Chelsea Marlborough, the senior, with a goal in response as Harvard ties it up at 1.
Yeah, you and I were talking about the absence of Riley Campbell. You're going to see Marlborough here go straight on, get the deflection that bounces and gets by Riley Agris there, the sophomore goalkeeper. But just a lucky bounce. You see there kind of a little off spin on the shot that goes by Agris. So Harvard ties it up, but we were talking about somebody stepping in for Riley Campbell, and look for Marlborough to do that here in the midfield for this Crimson team. Starting off with a bang.
In fact, that looks like that was Chelsea Marlborough's first career goal as a senior. So congratulations to Chelsea. And what a time to get one to tie things up here late in your season, senior season.
Be able to celebrate that next weekend with a picture over at Senior Day. Should be a fun day next weekend as well, with this weekend coming up against Brown.
Terriers trying to get to the middle of the field. Swatted away there by Maddie Spaeth, who came up with a ground ball, but there was a foul, so Harvard will re-get possession. The final week of the season for both teams, final week of the regular season at least for both teams. No playoffs upcoming for the Terriers. So we get a stoppage at a conference here by the near side referees. 2-13 overall for BU, 1-7 in the Patriot League. It was just some confusion about the resetting or lack thereof of the shot clock is what that appeared to be. And we shall now play on. Harvard, as we touched on briefly, still with a shot to get into the Ivy League tournament, sitting at 3-3 in the conference. Cornell and Brown also at 3-3. Those 3 teams tied for 3rd place. Cornell plays Dartmouth on Saturday. The Big Green 1-5 in the conference. Harvard head-to-head against Brown. So the winner of that game will get a ticket to the Ivy League tournament. And it looks like winning you're in, losing you're out. So this is basically a tune-up and a touch-up game for the Crimson, because they still have a chance at the postseason. And BU, frankly, they're kind of playing out the string here. Yeah, the Tigers, 3-time defending tournament champions.
But you got to think, if Harvard makes it into that tournament, they have this ability to build off of the last time they played. You talked about that 9-8-7 lead against Princeton that they had. they just couldn't finish that game in the fourth quarter. So trying to maybe potentially get into the tournament, steal that first round game, and make it into the championship, depending on who it's there. You never know what can happen in the Ivy League tournament.
Yeah, Princeton and Yale both standing atop the conference. I guess Yale technically at 6-0, half game better than Princeton as it stands right now, but Tigers will make up that game midweek against Columbia. I believe that game's tomorrow. And then those teams will go at it Saturday, basically for the outright regular season championship. Spaeth with the entry pass, underhand scoop shot by Isaacson this wide. Restart with 5 seconds to shoot on the clock for the Terriers. High pass to the middle, shot gets in on Provenzano. She rejected it, and the Crimson come away.
Yeah, 2 great chances inside the oval there for Isaacson. The second time, Provenzano, just a great save, put the stick out and got a piece of the stick.
Provenzano's numbers this year for the sophomore out of Parkland, Florida, 12 starts. Tonight being her 13th, 5 and 7 as an individual, just like the team. .432 save percentage and a 10.08 goals against average, which is second best in the Ivy League and 17th in the country.
You talked about the defense for this Crimson.
Barkate with a behind-the-back shot that goes wide.
Yeah, might have hit the post there for Barkate, but this defense is really centered around Chloe Provenzano, the sophomore. A lot of good sophomores on this team. Finally getting a chance this year to play some lacrosse. So you see how this team for Harvard can develop over the years, and finishing the season strong will be a part of that.
Yeah, both teams very young. Both teams trying to get things situated after having a lot of injuries this year. That's Barkate with a finish, with a turn and score, and Harvard's got their first lead at 2-1.
Yeah, good turnaround from Barkate. We saw her the first time she got the ball, try to do a little shimmy shake off the defender. There she successfully creates the space and then finds the shot past Riley Agris. So good movement there. That's what Harvard's going to need to do, use their size advantage inside that oval to create the mismatch and find the open space.
So after the Terriers got the scoring started, it's been 2 straight from Harvard. The BU team had a real tough beginning to the schedule. Lewis, they lost 11 straight to begin the year. Mentioned a minute ago, it's a young team. Both teams very young. Some key injuries for the Terriers, especially early on, but they have definitely improved here as of late. You talked about some of the recent results coming off of that 11-10 overtime win at Bucknell, the first win in the Patriot League. Things to build off of here. Terriers did rally from a 3-goal second half deficit to get the win against the Bison. Had a win against Merrimack, played Lehigh very well, mixed in there as well.
Yeah, you have a couple of ranked opponents on your schedule. You start off in the second game of the year, play the #1 team in Boston College and your rivals. And then you have a couple of great teams in the Patriot League with Loyola and Navy, so it's never an easy schedule, whether it's in conference or in the non-conference for BU, but I love that they challenge themselves, and Lauren Morton has did a good job finding the right opponents, especially the local ones.
Coach Morton in her 4th year as the head coach of the Terriers at her alma mater. Entry feed in the direction of Jen Berry. She's going to broom it over to a teammate, or at least attempt to. Crimson steps forward, and they come away with it. That's Charlie Meyer.
Yeah, it was a good job just clearing the space there. You talked about the broom sweep to just try to get it over on the left side.
High pass intended for Charlie Meyer. A little bit too tall for Meyer. Crimson settling in past the halfway mark of this first quarter. Got unanswered goals from Barkate and Marlborough with her first career goal. Congratulations again to Chelsea, the senior, in her first start this season. There she is back out there. Slings it over to the other goal scorer. That's Barkate. Barkate high steps her way towards the front of the net. Bouncer ends up back with Meyer. Charlie Meyer out of Wilmette, Illinois. Next to Evanston, just north of Chicago. Malahi goes up top with it. Harvard calls out 30 seconds from the sideline to alert their teammates that a bad pass that was influenced defensively there by Kokaruta skitters out of bounds, and the Terriers force a turnover.
And it's really good offense here, or excuse me, good defense here from the Terriers. Harvard's trying to set up their offense, be patient, but again, good defense forces the turnover, forces the passes on the outside, and taking Barkay out of the play allowed the Terriers to create that turnover. They give it right back.
Yeah, that's something that's been an issue for the Terriers this season, is too many turnovers, especially consequently immediately following the opposition turning the ball over. It just kills your momentum as soon as it gets started. Grace Holslander had a touch on the ball there. Number 11 in white, one of the captains for Harvard, had a really fine day against Princeton over the weekend. But here's a takeaway by Ellen Monahan. Monahan made the switch from defense to midfield in the middle of the season this year to adjust for some injuries and illnesses with people out of the lineup.
And both teams really struggling to possess the ball here on the passes. Might be, a little slippery out there. We did have some rain, and we'll see some occasional showers here, but a lot of sloppy play there at midfield.
Yeah, serial turnovers right now as Feeney collects it. The grad student with a 360 gets tripped up. She appeared to sort of be losing her balance after the spin, but was helped along just a little bit, and it looks like a free position opportunity for the Terriers.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that call. To your point, it looked like she was already kind of spinning herself out. So a good break here for the Terriers. We get a free position from it.
BU as a team, 44.4% on free position looks this season, 28 of 63. Feeney got contacted on her way to the net, and it looks like we'll restart from the same general area.
Yeah, Harvard collapsed there and got a piece of the top of the head there on Feeney, so she'll go and get another chance here.
Feeney off the whistle, doesn't get a shot off. That one affected by the two wingers. Anna Andrews in the area, as well as Shay Jenkins, the junior. Second team All-Ivy League performer from a season ago. Leading this Harvard team, leading the entire Ivy League, in fact, in caused turnovers this year. Also leading Harvard in ground balls as well.
And you got Anna Andrews there, the first year, who's learning from such a great leader there. Impacted that play to get them into the offensive zone. We talked about the youth on these teams. Callie Hem, the leading scorer for the Crimson. On the opposite end, Sloan Kay was a junior, but then a couple of sophomores behind her.
Here's Holslander. A little shake move. That looked like a shot, but it was never on target.
And you can see just difficulty passing the ball or getting the shot off on the last opportunity there from Feeney on the opposite end of the field. She really couldn't possess it, allowing the Crimson to put a stick on it. And now on the opposite end, it's the Crimson who just trying to get shorter passes here to get their momentum going offensively.
Malahi with possession for Harvard, gives it off to Clark. And Clark over for Swisher, and she scores. It's another new number for Harvard who scores offensively. Charlotte Swisher with a finish. And the Crimson have built their lead up to 2 goals.
Yeah, it is a great finish. Good feed from the outside, and then plenty of space to work into the oval. So Swisher getting on the scoreboard, and 3 unanswered now for the Crimson. They've shortened their passes on that last sequence, and I think that's what they're going to have to do here in the remainder of this one. Just try to get short passes and allow the players on the outside to go to work. So again, there's a bit of a size mismatch here for the Crimson. They can really develop and use their strength inside that oval.
Swisher, the junior out of the Menlo School. Somewhat of an athletics powerhouse out there in the Bay Area. Portola Valley. Was the captain during her time in high school. Also played some tennis. Comes from a Harvard family. Brother Jack is here. Mother Jocelyn graduated as well.
How about these players? We were talking about the absence of Campbell. Now 2 players with their first career goals in this game for the Crimson. Swisher just her second start this year.
And it was the first start for Chelsea Marlborough, the first start for Maggie McCarthy. And these are all upperclassmen technically. Junior with her first career goal and a senior with her first career goal, and Harvard threatening for more.
Yeah, it's a good job by Barkate to try to find the zone. The officials were all over it as soon as she pulled the shot back, knowing that she couldn't shoot it because it would be a dangerous shot. So a smart play there for Barkate. Now she gets a one-on-one.
Barkate to the cage, and she scores.
Yeah, again, great movement here. Barkate's going to draw the free position on that last play, and then it allows her to get that straight-on shot and one-on-one with Agris. She's going to put it in most of the time. Such a dangerous score for the Crimson.
That's going to bring us to a timeout as head coach Lauren Morton wants to talk about things. After giving up 4 straight goals, Terriers scored on their opening possession, a Toby Tick tally. Since that point, it's been all Harvard. And this has been something, Lewis, that has sort of plagued the Terriers this season. And that has been that they've had a lot of possessions. They've had tons of possessions because of how good Jennifer Berry is on the draw control. It's been what they've done with possessions that has led to just the 2 wins this season for BU. They're just not getting enough shots. Their shot percentage is pretty high, but they're not getting the ball into the dirty areas, if you will, towards the high percentage scoring spaces. And it's just been, I don't know if it's been sort of a lack of execution offensively or if it's just going to take a little bit more time. They did lose their top 3 scorers to get things sort of gelled on the offensive end, but I think their biggest thing for BU this year is they have not scored consistently enough this year.
Yeah, and that's what you have to do, especially in a league like the Patriot League where you have tough competition and teams that can put 20, 15-plus points or goals on the board on you. And defense, it starts with defense, and they have to take advantage of those defensive turnovers that they do create and that control in the draw circle. But even in that first kind of 15 minutes, in that first couple of minutes here in the first half, you see that they have the turnovers. They're moving upfield, but they take too much time in developing the play. Feeney had a great rush upfield. Looked like a probably 4-on-1 there against the Crimson defense, but took too much time to develop. It did lead to a free position, but twice in that free position, too much time on the hold. So you got to learn from your mistakes here. For if you're the Terriers, you got to make sure that you bounce back, and down 4-1, it's a great chance. We were here last time when Harvard built a lead against Dartmouth, and they allowed them back into the game. We always say it's a game of runs. So if you're Boston University, you take this opportunity in the draw circle, just cut the deficit 1 goal at a time, and you find yourself back in this game.
And Jennifer Berry is somebody who is extremely good at these draw controls. Again, she set a single-season program record. She's on the verge of setting the career record at Boston University. She actually has more draw controls coming into the day. She had 30 more draw controls than Harvard does as a team, which is a pretty remarkable statistic. Had the draw control win that led to the overtime game-winning goal against Bucknell Saturday. Also had 2 goals in that game against the Bison. Terriers' 8th consecutive win against Bucknell. First overtime win for BU since March of 2018. Holslander tries to go up high to get it. Still anybody's ball, 50-50. Flicked into the area. Kokaruda had the inside track on it. Then she does a little bit of a hip check on Shay Jenkins, which allows the junior Jenkins to possess for Harvard.
And again, just not finding the ball there on the draw control. Kokaruda had a great chance to just pick it up, but just forced it too far towards the sideline. So the defender, the sideline becomes a secondary defender there, and Harvard creates the turnover.
Barkate with it here. So Harvard using this opportunity to get some fresh faces out there, fresh faces who have scored their first career goal. Still wanting to really be rolling, get back in the winning column, if you will, prior to this game against Brown on Saturday. They want to be playing as good a lacrosse as they can, as they did play for 3 quarters against Princeton this past Saturday, because, again, they still have a chance at the Ivy League tournament. That obviously is their goal at this point in the season.
Yeah, big game against Brown, as you talked about. Basically a win and get in there. With a loss to Cornell, you get a chance here to pass Brown with the head-to-head tiebreaker.
Here's Claire Gola with the entry pass. Jen Berry came back for the help. Monahan had a touch. Terriers going to work it around behind the net. It's been slow starts. It's really plagued the Terriers this season. Had a quick opening minute, got a goal, but have since surrendered the next 4. Here's Maddie Spate, the star freshman for BU. She's 24 in red. Monahan from Columbus, Ohio, gave it off for Barry. Barry, low feed for Spaeth, who doesn't watch it into the cradle. That one skitters out of bounds. And there's an unforced turnover against BU.
That's really good disciplined defense there for the Crimson. That zone defense moved along. They couldn't find the open pass inside the zone. And then a missed pass on the near side, another turnover there. So it just shows you how good this defense for the Crimson can be. Once they play their positions in that defensive zone, it causes havoc on the offensive opponent.
Harvard setting up shop down to our right in the final minute of this opening quarter. Thanks again for being with us here on the Ivy League on ESPN. Luis Sanchez is to my right. My name's Craig White. Thanks for being with us. And there's Charlotte Clark behind the net. There's a feed for Holslander, the quick stick goal. Clark to Holslander to the net, and it's 5-1 Harvard.
That's a great job by Charlotte Clark to kind of readjust the play. She was trying to go to the left side here and then realizes it's not open on the good defense by the Terriers. Gets Holslander to cut across the open slot. Good one-time feed in front. And Harvard just dominating here in the first quarter. Great offensive sequence on that last play.
Holslander picks up her 12th goal of the season, coming off of back-to-back 4-point games. In fact, both games, 3 goals and an assist over the last 2. She also had a season-high 8 draw controls in that loss to Princeton on Saturday.
Holslander. Game the Crimson will want back, as we talked about, just having that lead going into the fourth quarter. And playing these Ivy League games, especially towards the end of the season, they mean that much more. A win there could have made it a little easier to breathe for the Crimson heading into the Ivy League tournament, but now it's a win and get in against Brown. And Brown's a really good team this year. They've played a lot of good quality opponents tough.
And no game an easy one in Ivy League lacrosse, that's for sure. A little bit of a surprise how well Yale has played this year to stay undefeated to this point. And they're going to have a stiff test with Princeton coming up. I believe that game is in New Jersey on Saturday. Great reach back and a finish. That was Charlie Meyer with a goal, her 3rd of the season, and Harvard continues rolling.
Well, how about that? The feed was just behind Meyer here. She's going to reach behind, see her cut across late in the slot. Right there, has to pull it back. And then great wherewithal there to put it on the far side, as Agris could not move from left to right fast enough.
Riley Agris having a tough first quarter here for the Terriers. That one went in with just 3+ seconds left to go in this quarter. Agris is coming off of a fine performance at a career high 16 saves in her first career win against Bucknell on Saturday. It was a season-low 10 goals against for the Terriers, but so far given up 6 here in the first quarter.
Yeah, she had a great game, gave up a couple of early leads, but offense came and bailed her out, and she did a great job in that 3rd and 4th quarter to keep Bucknell in check, obviously winning in overtime.
Terriers got the first goal, but then surrendered 6 straight to the Crimson, who enjoy a 5-goal lead as we hit the break. We'll be back to Cambridge after this on the Ivy League on ESPN.
they're trying to help students develop skills that they can take into the workplace and take into the world.
Harvard fans, just want to remind you that we're calling all dog parents. Bring your dog to Harvard's Bark at the Park event on Saturday, April 30th. That's this Saturday, 4 days from now, starting at noon, as Harvard baseball, softball, and this women's lacrosse team all play in close proximity. All dogs in attendance will receive a free Harvard giveaway item. So for more information and the full schedule of events, visit gocrimson.com/bark. Lewis, you can bring your dog on Saturday?
Listen, I have bunnies at home, but I have some friends with dogs, and I love me some swag. Wherever school around the area is giving out free swag, I'm about that life. So if somebody has a dog and wants me to take it out for a day, Saturday's that day.
There you go. You could bring your bunnies too, but I think all the dogs might be chasing them around.
Put them in on the little harnesses and have them running around.
Yeah, it would be fun. A dominant performance from the home team after giving up the first goal in the opening minute. Cruising right along, trying to cruise into the weekend, and a big set against Brown for that Bark at the Park event. Big matchup coming up with a chance to get to the Ivy League tournament. But still
motivated Crimson team with senior day coming up too as well.
There you go. They couldn't ask for much more to play with, or for, coming up on Saturday. Still have 3 quarters to get through here tonight. Holslander with the opening draw control to begin this second quarter. Charlie Meyer, the most recent goal scorer, with possession for Harvard.
The second quarter is where the Terriers do most of their damage. 42 goals here in the second. They can really clamp down and get some momentum going into halftime if they can play some good defense here.
Yeah, sure could use a stop or two. Gain a little bit of confidence on that side. The oncoming Hong comes all the way in, lets it rip, goes wide. The entire Crimson bench got up as Hong came screaming into the area. And there's a finish. Right off the pass for Chelsea Marlborough. She had her first career goal, and now she's got her second.
Yeah, it was a quick start there for the Crimson. They pick it up and go right in after that shot by Kim and by Hong. And just another great opportunity coming in on the oval from the left side, and gets it off the piece of the stick there on Agris.
Chelsea Marlborough from Long Island went to Mattatuck-Catchog, I believe that's how that's pronounced, high school. Forgive me, Islanders, if that was butchered. Won the state championship back in 2018. Got her team rolling right now in the rain here in Cambridge.
I really like this for Devin Wills, just getting her younger players out there, getting them an opportunity to get some playing time, and especially with the big game coming up, and next year some of these players are going to be playing a lot more significant minutes. Gives them a chance to kind of show what they got.
Yeah, very few seniors on this Harvard roster. We talked about it in the first quarter a little bit, how young both these teams are. It's really just Olivia Gill and Charlotte Clark who see significant minutes as seniors on this Harvard roster. So the vast majority, of course, are likely to be back as Holslander gets pushed on her way down, but scores with the left hand anyways. It breaks through Agris, and the Harvard onslaught continues.
Yeah, another great job by the Crimson, getting inside, creating some traffic in front of Agris this time. Not a straight-on shot, but through the traffic, it creates a distraction there for Agris. And a good job there by the Crimson. They continue to pile it on, and that's what they have to do. They cannot take a break here. Give a chance for a team to come back into a game, and that's where it becomes dangerous. So look for the Crimson to keep their gas on the pedal here, especially going into the halftime.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, Lewis. You don't want to take a break at any point against a team who you're beating up on, but especially when you've got this huge game coming up on Saturday with a chance to make it to the playoffs. It's one of these kinds of games where if this continues like it does, it can be sort of an opportunity for teams to fall into bad habits, but that's what I feel like Harvard should be specifically trying to avoid, is bad habits in this game if it continues to sort of get away from BU.
Yeah, and I think for the Terriers, they got to focus on the ball. They're focusing too much on the bodies moving around and not the ball itself, leading that person, that player, the offensive player that's carrying the rock here to kind of dictate where to go and dictate the pace of the game. So if they're able to kind of shut down the player with the ball and prevent them to, or force them to go to the outside or the far side pass, that's what's going to help them kind of create these turnovers and force these tough shots for the Crimson.
Here's Hem, 17 in white, gonna take it and scores, top corner. Harvard's top goal scorers buries her 28th of the year. A team leading 28th for Callie Hem. And Harvard is rolling.
She only had one goal in that loss against Princeton, so picks up one here. And as you talked about, Callie Hem has had a great season, 6th in the Ivy League in goals per game, gets one. But again, the Terriers just let her walk in, and they have to force that on-ball pressure. They haven't been able to do that here through the first 2 quarters. They're going to need to do that. If not, Harvard's going to continue to dictate the pace of this game and put some goals behind that net.
Yeah, so far, Harvard's offense has met little resistance from BU. Terriers giving up a little less than 16 goals per. Bottom-ranked scoring defense in the Patriot League. Draw controls again have been their forte, but not today. This has been unlikely so far. 8-3 in favor of Harvard to this point. And in fact, Jennifer Berry not even out there on that draw control. Abby Cotraro getting a look. Rolling rock towards the sideline. Works its way out of bounds. And the team in white will possess there with about 12.5 to play here in the opening half. First goal on the board was BU's. It was Toby Tick, the sophomore, with her 16th of the year, and since then, Lewis, it's been 9 straight for Harvard.
And just the Terriers shooting themselves in the foot here in the first half. They get turnovers, but then they give it right back. They haven't been able to sustain pressure in the offensive zone. It's kind of one and done for BU. They'll get a chance here on this turnover to take it back downfield and try to get some momentum.
Yeah, got to be careful with the ball here. Take care of the ball. That was another thing that Coach Morton has talked about throughout this season, is she's been employing her team to take better care of the ball, as this one almost gets away. Nearly rolls away a second time from Hannah Tillier. Here is Tillier.
Again, that zone defense, really hard to break down for the Terriers. They play that 3 high and have some support on the low side, so really good job by Devin Wills getting her group ready for this defensive battle, especially with the conditions. It's wet and slippery outside.
Claire Gola with the entry move, goes high to beat Provenzano, and she'll stop the run. That's Gola's 14th of the year to get BU back on the scoreboard.
Yeah, great job here to just break down the defense, cut right through 2 defenders, find that open space. The help side D didn't come over there for the Crimson, so good job just firing that shot on before it did by Provenzano. And a little knuckle shot there, went over the stick and into the corner.
Gola setting a new career high in goals this year. That her 14th, really turned into a nice 2-way player for the Terriers. Leading the team in caused turnovers, new career high in goals. Up in the top 3 in draw controls as well. Got a new goalie in there, it looks like, for the Terriers. Coming in is Kennedy Smith, senior from Pompano Beach, Florida. It's going to be her first appearance since April 6th against Merrimack. She was in there for the inaugural win of the season for the Terriers against the Warriors, Merrimack College. Back at the beginning of April, made 8 saves, gave up 12 goals against. Also had a career-high 18 saves against Holy Cross back at the end of March.
Seeing some action this year. Now her 10th game played, and we'll have to kind of stop the bleeding here and Some fresh legs out there, maybe a different look between the pipes will cause some havoc here for the Crimson to get BU back in it, especially after that goal. Might create a run if they can get a stop here defensively.
Little scramble play, kicked away by Smith, caught that one with the foot. And a big stop, and that definitely caught her with the foot.
Yeah, you can see her kind of just trying to walk it off, shake it off a little bit. But how about that? Just it's going to actually be a yellow card as well on the Crimson. So it looks like Charlotte Clark actually is going to be Caroline Malahi, who sits for 2 minutes. But how about that? You come into the game and immediately you're tested. Good response there for Kennedy.
Yeah, one way to get yourself warmed up is getting hit in the foot with a ball at good speed. And that's what Smith had to deal with there. So Harvard finally ends its 9-goal run. And now they take a yellow card, as Lewis just described to you, to Malahi. Waiting for proper scoreboard inputs. And now we're square. 2 minutes on the board against Malahi, and we are back underway.
Again, if you're Boston University, you just made a big defensive stop. You got to set up your offense here and get going.
Monahan on the swirl around. Up for Spaeth. Team leader in goals as a freshman. Lauren Morton saying that she continues to go hard. Has been drawing a lot more of the opposition's best defenders here. Drawing more difficult matchups as the season goes along. Things have gotten a little bit tougher on Maddie as her first year has progressed, but that to be expected with the success early on.
Yeah, once you score a bunch of goals, teams are going to get ready to stop you from scoring and game plan for that, so forcing other players to get involved.
Reinertson trying to find it to the middle for Tillier. Harvard with active sticks, able to force a turnover, and here they head the other way, right to left. Connecting with Hulslander. Had those feet churning away. Now she'll slow it down with her team down a woman for the next 45 seconds or so.
Yeah, smart play not to rush it. Obviously had the numbers, just decided to wait for the opportunity to get the player off the bench here in the sin bin. Then they'll be able to generate an offensive opportunity, especially with the shot clock. I always love the implementation of the shot clock here in lacrosse. We've seen it so many games early on that just were run out at the end of the game or end of the half, and now you force teams to kind of game plan for that 90 seconds.
Hulslander taking it very slow. Everybody's going to get soggy out there in the rain by the time Harvard picks this thing back up. Final 3 seconds, 2-1, and now we're back to even strength. So I would expect the pace to pick up here as Hulslander does just that. Little head fake from Hulslander, looking towards the middle for a cutter. Instead, she wants behind the net with Barkate. Barkate's there. Meyer goes through. Hem shows as well. And she'll leave it off her hip side for Hem. Hem, natural lefty, switches to the right hand. Hem will take it with a right hand, but she put it over the net. Just 3, 2, 1, and that's going to do it for the shot clock because of that delaying of the game. And the Terriers will get it back.
And a really good job by Emma Pfaff there on Barkate. She's been face guarding her here since the beginning of the game and forced her off the ball. She had to force the pass out, and then the shot just goes wide. So good defensive stop there, and so far 2 back-to-back stops here for the Terriers have gotten them in this one, but they haven't been able to put one behind the net to kind of keep the run going.
And those stops defensively are big, though. Something to build upon, for the Terriers.
I do love how Malahi just came off the chair and ran right into the offensive box, trying to get into the play.
Maybe this is somewhat of a cathartic moment for some of the Terriers who were here in 2020. This was the last game that BU played prior to the shutdown. On March 4th of 2020, BU played Harvard. Harvard won 13-4, and then everything changed. And the season was over after that. Terriers finished 3-3 that year. And now here they are back on the field over 2 years later. In a big hole right now, down 7 with 6.5 to play here. The opening half, make it down 6. Maddie Spaeth with a finish.
Yeah, and Cassie Reinertsen is really the player that started that play. She got the ball from about midfield, ran it all the way up. You're going to see here, it pops out. She's going to get it right back in, dish it off to the left side, and then Numbers here for the Crimson. Good move to score that one. And now back-to-back goals here for the Terriers, and they're in business.
Spaeth's 26th goal of the year. She had a 9-game goal streak snapped against Lehigh about a week and a half ago or so. Bounced back nicely with the overtime game-winning goal against Bucknell on Saturday for the freshman. 26 goals, closing in on a 30-point season.
Yeah, she's done a great job this year just finding the back of the net, breaking down defenses. We'd love to see her develop more of a passing game once those defenders kind of collapse on her inside the oval. But as a freshman, that's only room to grow from there.
Holslander has been absolutely locked in since Saturday. You could see it in her eyes. She was fierce everywhere throughout the field. Jennifer Berry not out there on draw controls for BU still. So hoping to witness history with Berry, but it doesn't seem like that's going to happen tonight. We'll have to wait and see as Spaeth shows off her speed. 1 against 5, the whole team. He rips it wide. Provenzano heads up play to turn and run and chase the backup, and she's got the ball.
Yeah, great job there by Spaeth to just pick it up and run in. She had the numbers, just fired it just wide. But Provenzano did a good job kind of forcing herself outside, making her presence bigger on Maddie Spaeth.
Charlotte Clark comes back to support. And here comes Grace Taylor, another player who really struck my fancy on Saturday. Her and Holslander, the two Graces, were excellent in that game against Princeton. First year from Dedham, Massachusetts. 4th in the Ivy League in caused turnovers per game. 2nd on the team in raw number of caused turnovers.
Okay, you were talking about the last time these two teams played, and for Harvard, it's been a couple of years since they've had a full season of action, and this is the first year in 2 years they're able to get that rugged season.
Of course, the Ivy League not playing last year, I think it's so much more difficult for these spring teams than any other teams, of course, because they had their season canceled in the middle of it, and they didn't have one the following year. Nearly 2 full years off. A lot of players having to make their own decisions as to what was best for them, both in their academic life, their athletic life, and their lives. And a lot of players didn't come back across the Ivy League in many different sports. So all the rosters, everything really hard to read, and nobody knew sort of who was going to emerge. Case in point, Yale. I think most people surprised that they sit undefeated atop the standings as it stands right now. But here we are now starting to get to the end of the regular season, and things starting to feel just a little bit more familiar, which I'm sure feels great to me. I'm sure it does to most of our people listening and watching as well.
And for the players out there on the fields and ice.
Look at that move. Little head fake and then a reach around from Malahi to score. And Harvard zimmed to double digits. It's 10-3.
Yeah, good job for the Crimson. Building off of that save on the opposite end from Provenzano. And a good feed all the way down. Nice fake shot to draw Smith outside the circle. And the Crimson just continue to pile it on. It's a great job again, just breaking down the defense, taking the fake shot to force the defender and the goalie to come out. Then you have plenty of net to shoot it into. And first response here in the second half by the Crimson. Or second quarter, excuse me.
So the 7th different goal scorer for Harvard is Malahi. She adds her goal to an assist already in this game to get to 25 points on the year. The only Harvard player with both double-digit goals and assists. We've gotten inside of 2 minutes to play here in the opening half. Luis Sanchez and Craig White with you from Cambridge in a crosstown matchup between BU and Harvard. It's been all Harvard here in this first half. Offense has finally calmed down a bit over these last few minutes. BU forcing some turnovers themselves.
Yeah, they played a much better game here in the second quarter. Really buckled down defensively to force the Crimson into tougher shots, and now they've gotten more opportunities in the offensive zone. You got to just continue to pile that pressure on and generate scoring chances.
Yeah, taking better care of the ball for sure, not turning it over in the midfield, and actually being able to set up and force Harvard to play defense, frankly, has definitely been improvement in this second quarter. Reinertsen. Go ahead, Lewis.
I think you're spending so much time looking at the zone in the first quarter that you kind of get shocked, right? You got to figure out where to go, and you look eyes-wise to develop a play, but in the second quarter, you really see them kind of breaking it down, whether it's cutting through two defenders or finding that open pass through the middle. So Terriers did a really good job from after going down 9-1 to make those adjustments. Even Kennedy Smith between the pipes has made some big saves to keep this one close.
Harvard trying to extend it further. Lead is 7 as it stands now. Callie Hem with the ball for Harvard. Crimson outscoring their season average in this half alone, averaging about 9.5 goals per game. They've scored 10 here in the first half, which still has 2 minutes and 20 seconds in it.
Yeah, most goals scored this year was 13. On pace to break that here through the second quarter.
Sure are. Hem leaves it for Meyer. Meyer with a left hand, she scores. Picks the low right-hand corner to beat Smith. And it's 11-3.
Yeah, and that's all shot placement. To your point, Craig, just a great low shot that gets a little piece of the outside of the net to help it go in. And again, good breakdown defensively by Hem to pass that one off and create it on the near side for the Crimson for Meyer.
So a first half high water mark this year for Harvard, scoring 11 goals, including 6 in the first quarter.
It's been really good offense for the Crimson. They've broken down the defense. They've found the open player. It's unselfish play throughout the team. We saw a couple of first-year players or even a senior from Marlboro get her first career goal. And it's just because of the unselfish play. They're looking around and finding the openness.
Well, without Jennifer Berry out there, Harvard continuing to roll on these draw controls. Holslander has been in a mode over this last week. These last 2 games, she's been absolutely zoned in. Harvard can take this clock way down if they choose to do so. Only about 30-plus seconds between the 2 clocks prior to the end of the half.
Yeah, and you and I were talking about how the draw circle is going to be the most important part here today for the Terriers, and getting outwon there 12-4. That's where it all starts. It starts in the draw control circle.
Yeah, that's been completely a characteristic of how the Terriers have played this season. That's really been their shining beacon, has been the draw controls. Jennifer Berry specifically, but it's a 3-woman unit for sure. Barkate trying to back her way in. Hem slings it over laterally. Couple of head fakes.
Now responding with its own defense of their own.
Kaufman behind the back shot from Barkate, who goes down in a heap. Pfaff was involved in the play as well.
Yeah, looks like we're going to get yellow here on the Terriers for a push behind. Cadogan might be the one that has to sit. Cadigan and Barcade collided over there on the far side to the left of Kennedy Smith. I guess you're right, the official's giving both players. It's actually not going to be on the Crimson, it's going to be on Harvard.
There you go. So just
Barcade.
the one, yeah, just the one way. So Terriers enjoy the woman up situation. And a chance to score here prior to the end of the half, one in which they've been outplayed on both ends of the field. Here's Lauren Kay out there, 18 in red, haven't called her name much, leading point scorer and assist leader. Kay gets it again up top, switches to the left hand, probing for answers. Isaacson scores! Isaacson to Claire Gola, her second of the game. And the Terriers get a woman up goal, it's 11-4.
Yeah, good patience here by Isaacson to just wait, see the play develop, wait for the defense to commit, then the open space again. Good job taking advantage of it by Gola. But again, that's what the Terriers needed to do in the first quarter, just kind of be patient, wait for the zone to show itself so that you could break it down offensively. And here in the second quarter, the Terriers have done a much better job generating those scoring opportunities and taking advantage of them. That one with 9.4 left.
It's something that Princeton did as the game went along on Saturday, especially in that fourth quarter. They came out and scored the first 6 goals of that quarter. Harvard did get one prior to the end of the game, but that was sort of garbage time at that point. Perhaps BU could have a little bit more luck after the coaches have some time to break things down at halftime, break this zone defense down. It's been good holding the Terriers to just 4 goals in the opening 30 minutes. Harvard sets a season-high first half goal mark with 11. They lead by 7 here as we hit the break. We're going to step aside from Cambridge. We'll be back with the third quarter in a moment after this on the Ivy League on ESPN.
Championship trophy will be awarded tonight at Matthews Arena. Boston College is on a 7-game win streak and playing its best hockey of the season. In the Eagles' way stands Harvard, the number 6 team in the nation.
I want to remind you something. I want to set the table here, okay? We know what we want. They know what they want. What's the difference going to be? All of you.
Della Rovere puts one on net and scores. Chance on the doorstep, score. Look, shot save made by Dottibiani. Takes the shot and scores. Della Rovere scores. And she puts Harvard back on top. There's a deflection and a score. Boston College, for the 4th time, has tied this game. Unreal.
This has been absolutely ridiculous, Alex. What a game that we have here tonight.
Gilmore skates down. Gilmore puts one in. Becca Gilmore. Harvard back in front. desperate to pull it out. 2 seconds left. 1 second. Harvard is your Bean Pod champion.
Mars. The fourth planet from the Sun, named after the Roman god of war, its surface has been the subject of research and imagination alike. With many of its features similar to that of our own planet, the discovery of water has brought new questions about the planet's history. Harvard researchers have been trying to determine how the occurrence of water has shaped the surface of Mars and how it compares to features found here on Earth. One such event was flooding from lakes.
Water on Mars was very flashy and very episodic, and so it's very different to what we see on Earth. Craters like Jezero, there's these depositional regions where we might be able to look at the stratigraphy or the layers of rock through time, how much water was coming in and at what speed, and then see if the sediment or the lake level went up or down. And then we can look at those rates and see how catastrophic was it. Usually floods will have one single channel that just cuts across the surface. And then we know that they don't start at the top of mountains and have drainages like the ones we see on Earth. So they're really just kind of like a single track, really large valley that cuts across the surface, and those are the kind of things we see on Mars.
With such massive flooding that happened throughout the planet, carving new canyons and altering the landscape at tremendous scale, where did all of the water go? There are several theories being tested as the possible explanation.
Mars is very small, so it doesn't have as good a gravitational pull. So a lot of the water can escape more easily. We have heat on Earth that can make volcanoes and can generate more vapors and generate a nice atmosphere. But on Mars, this doesn't happen. Everything froze very early on. So a lot of the water couldn't recirculate anymore. And it doesn't have a magnetic field. The sun can strip away your atmosphere. All of these factors contributed to the water being lost early on in the Mars history.
Water can be found frozen in the polar regions of Mars, which if melted could cover the entire planet with a relatively shallow depth. The landforms of canyons and valleys suggest that at some point in time, water did exist outside those polar regions. Finding out what caused Mars to lose its potential life-sustaining water could help evaluate the future of our own planet.
This is a big question that we also want answered. Where did the water go? What happened to it? How fast did it leave Mars? Is this going to happen to Earth as well? When is it going to happen? It gets back into the core question of climate change. You know, we've seen climate change basically happen over a planetary scale on Mars, and now, you know, we're kind of scared that this might happen on Earth.
It isn't an accident that college campuses are diverse in every dimension. Encountering different types of people helps prepare students for a diverse society and workforce. In a 2003 survey of medical school students, only 50% said they had contact with people outside of their own race before attending their undergraduate institution. By the time they graduated, that number had grown to 85%. Those students reported an improvement in their ability to relate to and understand the cultural experiences and values of the patients they will be treating. For more than 40 years, the U.S. Supreme Court has recognized that colleges and universities can pursue a student body that is diverse in many ways, including race. As a result, many university and college campuses are places where students can expand their horizons and benefit from a vibrant, diverse learning community where people from all walks of life share ideas and learn from each other. But this system hangs in the balance. In 2014, a lawsuit against Harvard challenged its consideration of race as one factor among many in its undergraduate admissions process. Although federal district and appeals courts have ruled in Harvard's favor, the case is now going to the U.S. Supreme Court, where it could threaten access to higher education for millions of young people. We must protect the freedom and flexibility that colleges and universities have to build diverse educational communities. It is critical that they are allowed to create opportunities for students from all backgrounds to come together and learn, for the students, for their futures, and for society.
The shot, the score! And the Crimson are going back to the NCAA tournament.
We are trying to help students develop skills that they can take into the workplace and take into the world.
Back here in a soggy Cambridge where it's 11-3, Harvard leads over BU through 30 minutes. Luis Sanchez and Craig White bringing you the action on the Ivy League on ESPN. It was 9 straight goals from Harvard wrapped around those first and second quarters, Lewis. It was Terriers having a little bit of trouble defensively. They end up going with the goalie switch. It does help, at least mentally to some extent. What are your expectations here coming out of the game for the third quarter?
Well, I expect the Terriers to come back and fire out of the halftime locker room. Statistically, the third quarter is the worst scoring quarter for the Crimson this year. So if you're Boston University, you know you got some goals in that second quarter better than you did in the first, and you continue to build off that momentum. It starts with defense, though. Defense helped prevent some of those opportunities in the offensive zone for the Crimson. They had 21 shots, 13 on goal, and that allowed 11 goals to go in for Harvard. So for Boston University, you have to clamp down defensively so that you do get that offensive opportunity in the offensive end. They do, while they're in the offensive end, they have to go back to the short passes. These long passes is what created the turnovers for Harvard to go downfield again. So they have to stick to the game plan, short passes, break down that zone defense, and generate those scoring opportunities.
Yeah, the biggest thing statistically-wise that sticks out to me, you mentioned the shots. Just shot attempts 21-8 in favor of Harvard. Draw controls, Harvard 13-4, and I say it weirdly because of, again, how good BU has been on draw controls this season. It has absolutely been the best part of their season, statistically speaking. It has not been so the case here today, as they have been outclassed in the circle. Grace Holslander having a big reason to do with that. But here comes 21 in red, so Jennifer Berry will be back out there. It'll be junior on junior back inside the circle to begin things here in the third quarter.
We had joked at the start of the broadcast that Berry has 144 draw controls. Harvard coming in 114. She has more than the team, and we didn't see her a lot in the first two quarters. So good to see her back in the circle, and this is a big opportunity for the Terriers to kind of regain dominance in the circle.
Jen has also had a bit of a scoring touch here as of late. 10 points in her last 4 games. Calculated 2 draw controls in the first half, so Berry up to 146 on the year. Patriot League record is 153 for a given season. So she's an opportunity to beat that record as well as the career record for the Terriers, which is only a matter of time, in my opinion. Harvard has the opening possession here of the third quarter, and a 7-goal lead. It was as large as 8 at both 9-1 and 11-3. As Callie Hem with the low release, that one never between the pipes. Backed up easily, though, by Charlotte Clark, who's in the vicinity.
A little bit of a different look there for the Crimson to take the shot from the outside. Good job by Hem to wait for the offensive players to kind of draw the defense out of the way and take that shot, but just off target.
Crimson going to work it over for Charlie Meyer at a New Trier High School. Won the Illinois State Championship in 2019, and the Crimson score in the opening tally here of this third quarter. And the lead back out to as large as it's been, which is 8 goals.
Yeah, Meredith Langmuir getting there, the junior, finding that far shot. You're going to see here it develop. A great pass by Charlie Meyer is going to create this opportunity right there on the left side. Good cut to create the space, and then a great shot on the far side to finish it. It's really been the story for the Crimson, just breaking down the defense, being patient. I'd like to see it on the opposite end for the Terriers, but so far it's been a clinic for Harvard.
She becomes now the 8th different goal scorer for Harvard in this game.
We talked about Hulslander. She's doing a really good job in the circle. Even with Barry back in the draw control, it's 2 straight for Hulslander to start here in the third quarter.
Has matched her season high, which she had on Saturday against Princeton, with 8 draw controls already in this game. And still probably many draw controls to come. Malahi had a touch. Clark has the ball for Harvard. Hem shows. Hulslander gets it. Hulslander sidesteps her way towards the right avenue. Gives down low for Malahi. Comes right out in front and slam dunk. Caroline Malahi with her 2nd goal of the game, and Harvard wasting no time here in the opening 2 minutes of this second half.
Yeah, and a really good job by Malahi to draw Kylie Cadigan right there on the right side of your screen. You're going to see her get the ball back on the end line. She's going to draw it in front of Smith, but she gets by the defender there. A good job to just kind of get that first step and earn it outside of the circle. Another good goal for the Crimson.
So Jennifer Berry has returned to the circle, but it's been Grace Hulslander who's had the opening 2 draw controls of this second half.
And really, the draw circles where you could dictate the game. If you're able to continue winning draw circles after you score a goal, it's really hard for an opponent to get offensive opportunities, especially if they can't create turnovers on defense.
And a 3rd straight draw control by the home team in this half.
This is the game plan here in the second half for the Crimson. Just space it out, wait till about 60 seconds on the shot clock and get your offense going.
Harvard has now won BU has won 4 draw control. Harvard has won 15. That is right around, call it 25% to round off if it was 16. Clark from behind at the X.
You can see the Crimson just being patient, killing some time here, waiting for the offense to break down that zone defense that the Terriers fell into.
Little underhand scoop shot by Hulslander. That's Smith who's in the area, makes a save. 38th career appearance for Kennedy Smith. Senior, the veteran of the 2 main goalies for the Terriers. Over the Harvard H at midfield comes Captain Riley Kokaruda, the leader on defense for BU.
First offensive opportunity here in the third quarter for the Terriers. Will be good to see them kind of break down this zone defense and get one back on the board. Played so well there in the second quarter.
Spaeth plays it along for Lauren Kay. Kay's going to give it back to Spaeth. Behind the net is Tegan Lucchese. And Spaeth gets it again. Casey's had a nice run here as of late, 10 points in her last 5 games. Monahan starts forward, or check that. That was Kaylin Isaacson, who's coming off of a hat trick against Bucknell. Coach Morton specifically pointed out, giving her credit on that game, said she had a great game, her first career 3-goal game. Isaacson off that right-hand side, goes behind the net. Good triangle passing sequence from BU, ends up out of the stick of Claire Gola, though, and Harvard's going to come away.
And I do like that. I know the Terriers didn't score there, but they took the shot clock within 10 seconds. They tried to find the right opportunities. They didn't force the passes. That's what they have to do going back offensively.
Swisher down the chute, and she scores! Charlotte Swisher's second of the game. And Harvard leads by 10.
Well, second start on the season. Now you have dose goals. Good move by Swisher to just get this pass and look straight ahead. Know that she's going to go in on net, fire the shot as soon as she gets into that secondary oval, and back on the scoreboard here today. It's been dominating performance for this offense. They took a turnover and took it all the way downfield and scored it.
It's been all business for Harvard here in this third quarter. It's coming out of the gate storming. Scored 1 goal a minute in. The second goal 55 seconds later. And now they've got their third goal less than 3 minutes after that.
We're right here on the sideline. We saw Devin Wills turn around to Swisher and give her a nice high five. Shows you how much it means for the coach to see players succeed when they're out on the field.
Yeah, pretty cool to have Chelsea Marlborough come in, get her first start of the year, first career goal, and then second career goal. And then Charlotte Swisher, the junior, with her first 2 career goals as well. How about that? 2 players with their first 2 career goals. Terriers get a much-needed possession. Lucchese chugging through. Tillier and Lucchese playing catch. Lauren Kay settles with it. 17 points in the last 4 games for Kay, including a career-high 8 points in that game against Lehigh. Really nice comeback by the Terriers. It just fell short. It's a 1-goal defeat eventually by the Mountain Hawks. Cross. It was a cross-seam pass is the word I was trying to find. And I think it went off the pipe and stayed out.
Yeah, Tillier was there for the one-timer, just couldn't get it. The pass was just awry.
Kay for Barry. Terriers keep it moving. Isaacson. Low feed for Kay. Or, excuse me, that's Barry. Barry's 21. Kay is 18. That's Isaacson. Isaacson gets it back, right-hand street. Barry's up at the top. That's Kay. Kay starts forward. Plenty of white jerseys in the area. Barry spins it around for Isaacson. 30 seconds or so to shoot on the shot clock. Isaacson gets touched or just wants to fix her goggles just a slight bit. Barry into the mixer. Rattles around. And we had a whistle and a foul against Harvard.
Looked like Jenkins came in on the play. The pass, it was an intended pass, but it went off. It looked like the face of Jenkins. I'm not sure if the Terriers going to be awarded a free position here. Looks like they might be.
Yeah, Toby Tick with it. She goes right down Main Street, it looks like. Tick, the sophomore, has their 16th goal of the year. Earlier, bounce shot is stopped by Provenzano. Resets the shot clock again to a new 60. And let's see how BU handles it.
Good job by Lucchese to pick that up. Keep the possession going here for the Terriers and try to generate something.
Lucchese had a touch. Sent it over for Lauren Kay. Barry has it now. Switches to the left. Over for Kay. Kay looked towards behind the net. Instead, she'll sling it with power up to Barry. Isaacson now right-hand side. Looks towards the middle. Now towards Barry. Barry's got it with 30 on the shot clock. Right ahead for Gola. Was in a scoring area, but she couldn't look to pass it, and Harvard's going to get possession.
Now, if you want a clinic on zone defense, go to Devin Wills, because, wow, that's just beautiful. The Terriers are not able to break down the defense because there's no overcommitment from the defending players. They stay at bay, they stay in their positions, and it forces the Crimsons to kind of double think or think twice about the pass or the shot they want to take. And so far, this defense has been hounding, not giving up any space to the Terriers.
Taylor carries it all the way down to successfully complete a clear. Gallihem will hand it off for Grace Holslander. All Ivy League performer out of the Christian Brothers Academy. First team All-State, two-time New York State champion. Malahi with 2 goals in this game. Swisher with 2 goals in this game. Eyeing the hats. Anybody ever throw hats on a field in a lacrosse game? That's what I want to know.
Haven't seen it yet, but I'd love to see it happen.
It would be kind of weird. Everybody would be like, what are you doing? This is not legal in this sport.
Well, especially where in lacrosse you can get like a double or a triple hat trick.
Right,
you see players scoring 6 or 8 or 9 times, and you just never know. Can't bring enough hats to a game.
True that. And a green card's going to be expelled. Meyer comes off. I think it went against her. Devin Wills trying to assess the situation as well. So they add about 11 seconds back on the game clock, because again, we are running time here with a 10-goal deficit for the Terriers. And I think that's just about it. The green card did come out though, right, Lewis?
Yeah, no, we both saw that. I'm with you. I thought Meyer was sent to the bench or to the sin bin. So it will be a green card.
So possession should reset with that green card. So yeah, the full 90 back on the clock for the Terriers to work with.
It's interesting because coming off the clear here for Boston University, and it looks like they will sit one player here. It's Swisher for the Crimson. And she's the one who's assessed a green card.
So Swisher down for a minute, and we play on as Quinn Ferry comes into the picture. And Kokoruda ducks under a couple checks. Terriers have scored, woman up in this game. Gonna move it around, Tick gets a touch, Kay as well. Lucchese, long pass in the clutches of Claire Gola. Tick, along for Kay. Kay look towards the middle, Tick slings it along further, Isaacson shows, rainbow pass for Kay. Kay steps to the middle, a line drive pass for Barry. Came in and out of her stick, and Harvard's gonna have a chance at it. They will off the whistle.
Again, that just shows you that sequence right there, shows you how difficult it is to break down this defense for the Crimson. Active sticks, active bodies. You can't find the lane. It's really hard.
Hong shoots it too high. The backup was there by Harvard.
Second time today we've seen her kind of cut through the seam and get a good high shot. This time she stayed on her feet to fire that one though.
Yeah, you can tell she wants one. Been coming strong in transition. Haven't seen much transition offense in this game. Harvard hasn't needed it.
When a couple of your teammates come in, get their first start or second start on the season, they score some goals, you want to get in on the action too.
Yeah, absolutely. Swisher had nowhere to go with it. Kokoruda takes a tumble. Mad scramble. There's about 8 players, maybe definitely more than that, 12. And finally, Harvard comes away. Holslander. Holslander 11 in white. And Malahi, 2 goals for each of those players in this game. Clark starts forward, past the goal line, extended, underhand toss for Hem. Hem comes in and scores! Wasn't much to shoot at for Hem. No, it's washed out. Maybe she stepped in the crease.
Yeah, it looked like it. Looked like Feeney did a good job there for the Terriers to prevent her into the inside, and maybe a toe just getting in that yellow circle.
Yeah, only thing I could think of, I didn't see the referee's signal. But no goal, and we play on. The Terriers with a great passing sequence themselves, finding Tick in the middle. A nifty quick stick from Toby Tick scores her second goal of the game. And the clock stops with 2:07 to go in the quarter.
Yeah, great breakdown there defensively for the Terriers to find Tick coming through the middle. Puts a nice little finesse shot there on Provenzano. Bouncer gets by. And the first goal here in the third quarter for Boston University. Maybe that can get something going here for the Terriers.
Second of the game for Toby. Had 4 goals in that loss to Lehigh 10 days ago or so. On an 8-game point streak now. Coach Lauren Morton saying she wanted Toby to find her confidence and her rhythm a little bit more consistently. And it's been pretty consistent in this game with 2 goals. Important draw control upcoming here for the Terriers. Harvard wanted to stay in good habits, good health, and good strength heading into a huge weekend Ivy League matchup against Brown on Saturday. That'll be for a trip to the Ivy League tournament as both teams stand at 3-3 in Ivy League play. Terriers, on the other hand, will not be competing in the 16 Patriot League tournament this season. Currently sitting towards the basement with just that 1 win in the conference. So Harvard trying to stay fresh and healthy for Saturday with that huge game lined up with the Bears. Terriers will finish out their season at home as well. That'll be Friday afternoon. They'll finish up against American University.
Try to knock American down in the standings a little bit there before the playoffs in the Patriot League.
Yeah, I believe the Eagles have a shot right there on the cutoff mark. So that's a huge game for American if they want to get into the Patriot League tournament. Terriers will try to play spoiler coming up on Friday night. Into the final minute of this quarter. Lauren Kay with it. Claire Gola and now Isaacson. Tick's in the middle. Kay shows. Pass finds her. Line drive pass. Isaacson ahead. Tillier with a shot. Going to go out of bounds. That one missed. The shot clock is ticking down and expires. And now a final possession for Harvard here in this third quarter. Hong was the intended target, but Gola took it away. Something she's done a lot this season. BU settles into form, but they only have 12 seconds to work with. Tillier to Isaacson. Isaacson right at the hip into the body there of Cotraro is a hard adjustment to make on the pass, and the third quarter is over. Terriers score the last goal of the quarter, but it's still a 9-goal deficit as we hit the break. We will bring you back for this fourth quarter after this, coming up on ESPN+.
I love when families are able to come here and I can tell them they don't have to worry about paying for their care. They've got enough to worry about taking care of their sick child. Every single person that contributes is a part of that St. Jude family that makes that happen. Because of donors, we're giving families hope.
Ticket Smarter is proud to support St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. $1 of every transaction will go directly to benefit St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Visit ticketsmarter.com to learn how you can help today.
The shot, the score! And the Crimson are going back to the NCAA tournament.
We are trying to help students develop skills that they can take into the workplace and take into the world.
Back-to-back trip to the NCAA tournament.
Touchdown. Pass score.
Up in the air. Good! With their first championship. Unbelievable!
Calling all dog parents, bring your dog to Harvard's Bark at the Park event on Saturday, April 30th, starting at noon, as Harvard baseball, softball, and women's lacrosse all play in close proximity. All dogs in attendance will receive a free Harvard giveaway item. For more information and the full schedule of events, visit gocrimson.com/bark.
Thought about bringing my dog on Saturday, but I don't know what I would do with her during the game. I'm still trying to figure out a way to bring her and call a game without her going crazy.
Well, especially with lacrosse, those balls are like their size, you know, a little dog toy size.
Yeah.
So my concern would be how many dogs are going to try to jump over the fence and get in play. We're going to see an Air Bud for the lacrosse.
That's a good point.
I mean,
because mine loves balls, especially the yellow lacrosse ball. She's about 50 pounds, so she's not just going to sit on somebody's lap and be cool. Very energetic. So, well, I'll figure it out somehow. I'm not going to bring her. That's going to be the answer. Still 15 minutes of lacrosse to play here. It doesn't look all that pleasant out there. Thanks again for joining us from wherever you are on the Ivy League on ESPN. Terriers and Crimson with 15 minutes to go. Terriers try to get to their season finale Friday at home against American and Harvard, trying to stay fresh for Brown on Saturday with a trip to the Ivy League tournament on the line in that matchup with the Bears. And I would think that this is probably going to be status quo, same sort of plan for Harvard here in the fourth quarter. Lewis, do you see it the same way?
Yeah, they have to. I mean, especially as you mentioned with a big game coming up this weekend, and you know, you obviously don't want to get any injuries, force anything. I'd see a lot of young players for Devin Wills coming in here in the fourth quarter, try to get some get their legs under them before that big game against Brown, because again, with the lead where it is now, 14-5 for the Crimson, just want to make sure you kind of handle business here and get to work against Brown after this game.
Yeah, I think she's done a really good job sort of balancing, keeping a lot of the starters in there and showing some new faces. Again, she's got two players who each have their first 2 career goals in this game. That's good to see. Langmuir came in the second half. She scored her first goal of the game, 4th of the season. So there have been some new names and numbers out there contributing. And as you just mentioned, I would expect that to only grow here as this fourth quarter proceeds.
And on the opposite end, if you're Boston University, you want to take advantage of that kind of lax mindset, right? That, hey, we can just kind of play this out.
Turnover here. Hem's got a 1-on-0 against the goalie, and she scores. Harvard's top goal scorer all alone with an easy finish, her second of the game, and now she closes in on a 30-goal season.
Yeah, it's really great defense there at the yellow line to create the turnover. Then it's just a 3-on-1. Getting back, Hem gets in all alone, and the help side D can't get there quick enough. And Hem has been fairly quiet today, but when you look at the offense for Harvard, a pair of multi-goal scorers, not really one person running away with the game or not really forcing the ball to one player. It's really been a great team effort here for the Crimson today.
Yeah, 8 different goal scorers for Harvard, 7 of whom have 2 goals. That's great balance for sure.
29 goals for Hem. She's approaching that 30-goal mark. A lot of great scorers here in New England. Across lacrosse, when you think about Boston College, BU, Harvard.
Everybody's still looking up at the Eagles, at least in New England at this point. Primed to get back at least to the Final Four, you would expect.
Well, you've seen the Eagles. They've also had some kryptonite this year. A couple of losses to Duke and North Carolina. Once you get into conference play, into tournament play, it really is. Anybody can beat anybody on any given day, especially in college lacrosse.
Yeah, ACC on the women's side, so good. Ivy League.
Think about, Craig, just kind of the mid-majors, too, that we think about, like Stony Brook and James Madison making runs to the Final Four. It's a sport where you really think, okay, these are the favorites, but you never know who's going to make it.
Yeah, it's very true as Holslander throws this one in. And for Grace, that's a hat trick. That's her third straight hat trick for Grace Holslander. And the junior continues to just get better as this season goes along.
And it's everywhere on the field, right? We see her today in the draw circle really doing a great job, earning those controls. See her offensively playing a vital role in this offense for the Crimson. And defensively, she might not stick out as a lot of the other players, but she does a lot of the nitty-gritty work. So Holslander is really growing into her own here in Cambridge, and it's fun to watch.
Yeah, 10 draw controls for Grace tonight. 6 shots, 3 of which went in the net, 4 of which were on net. So the clock continues to spin with an 11-goal lead here for the home team. It's about 11 minutes away or so from picking up their 6th victory on the year and then officially turning their attentions to Brown. And it does officially go down. I know we teased this a little bit earlier, Lewis, but this is the new high water mark for the the Crimson this season, scoring 16 goals.
Yeah, they had a great effort in New York against Columbia, scoring 14, winning that game 14-8. Also had 13 against Holy Cross earlier this year. But this is going to be a good feeling for this Crimson team to show this offense after that tough loss against Princeton, knowing you have a big game ahead of you in the Ivy Leagues this weekend. This is the kind of response Devin Wills wanted after that loss, and she's got it.
Yeah, confidence booster, but also one where, again, you don't fall into bad habits and you stay healthy. Also maybe getting some extra names, faces in there like you touched on as well. All logical goals in this game, but also to get a W and not to fall into things that you otherwise wouldn't in a game that would be closer.
Yeah, if they can keep it this way.
To the middle for Barry. He's going to back it back out for Gola.
If they can keep it this way, Craig, it'll be the second lowest total allowed this year behind the 4 they gave up earlier this year in the win. They won 11-4, so this is a good defensive showing as well. We're talking about the offense, but all around a great game for the Crimson.
Yeah, Harvard, second-ranked scoring D in the Ivy League as Barry gets the pass right in front and then buries it. Jennifer Barry with her first goal of the game. That's her 16th on the year.
You're going to see here just a great breakdown on the defense. Barry's going to try to get it back from Kay, and Kay's just going to dish it to the right side, and then Barry gets it through the slot. Good feed by Gola. If you're Boston University, you still have something to play for, right? You don't go into the end of the season without sights set on personal records or just, again, playing spoiler. You get together a couple of runs here, you get some momentum going into that matchup on Senior Day against American on Friday. Crimson have done a really good job keeping the top scorers for the Terriers off the board.
Yeah, no points today for Lauren Kay, or she has 1 assist, excuse me. And just the 1 goal from Maddie Spaeth. And a clear trip there as Jenny Feeney went down.
Yeah, and Kay's a player who came in scoring in the last 4 games, so she was riding a hot streak. Talking about how good in net Agris has been, 4th in the Patriot League in saves per game, but Harvard came out shooting, and look at that stat right now. It's 29 shots, 19 of them on goal for the Crimson.
Gola She's had a fine game herself with 3 points on 2 goals and an assist. Little pirouette behind the net from Catraro back to Gola. High sailing pass into the area for Jennifer Berry, who was running in stride when she caught that pass. And is she going to have a free position? Look, it looks like it.
Yeah, got some contact on the head.
Berry in, was contacted legally on the way to her net. Traro for Gola. Gola up for Kay, and Kay along to Berry. Kay's got it. Now Gola has it. Gola in front, score! That's beautiful offense. That was Toby Tick on the receiving end of the pass, and she's got a hat trick. And BU's starting to find a little bit of a rhythm.
Yeah, she scored the first and now scoring this most recent one. You talked about a great offense, great patience to break down the D here. See the overcommitment through the middle and taking that shot and scoring it with Toby Tick. Kind of like the first goal we saw today, just going through the middle, putting it over the shoulder of Provenzano.
For the third goal, that will be a team high for Tick. She continues to build on her career high in goals, now with 18 on the season. Sophomore from Port Washington, New York. And have high expectations for her. Thorne Morton will, I'm sure, heading into next year, as the Terriers will turn their sights to 2023 after Friday. And we're going to keep teasing it until this game is over. The Crimson will host Brown University Saturday in the Bark at the Park event. But even more importantly than the Dogs, in some people's opinion, is a chance to go to the Ivy League tournament for Harvard. And the Bears as well. Brown will have everything to play for as well. Cornell will have something to say about that. They will meet Dartmouth and certainly will be the favorite heading into that game.
It's a Brown program that travels well as well, so expect it to be loud.
Tick's shot gets deflected along the way. Yeah, we had a really good crowd here for Princeton on Saturday, hoping to have something similar. It'll be a little bit different without the men's, women's back-to-back, but hopefully for that sake that you are correct on Saturday as well, that the Bears faithful travels. Under 6.5 to play in this game. Crimson have been in control throughout. Really scored 9 straight, and that was the difference in the game. As it stands right now, they have a 9-goal lead.
I know we're talking about the end of the season for the Terriers following next weekend, but more and more, and it's part of some great class in BU Terrier history. Was part of 3 NCAA championship wins, or wins in the tournament. Also spent some time at Duke, a program that knows how to win and made it to the NCAA Final Four. So just trying to build this program here at Boston University and has the right pieces. We'll see how they develop over the next couple of years.
Yeah, the first alumna to become the head coach of the women's lacrosse program at BU.
Both coaches hired back in 2018.
And a one fewer season for Devin Wills because of the obvious situation with the Ivy League.
I remember watching Devin Wills playing when I was in college, and then she was drafted for the United Women's Lacrosse League back in 2016, the 2nd overall pick. Covered that league for 2 years, and she was part of the first championship team for the Long Island Sounds, who upset the Boston Storm. That was a team with Kayla Traynor on it. A lot of great players for the Boston Storm.
Yeah, Coach Wills, a great player at Dartmouth, 3-time All-American. Went to the national championship game in 2016, came up just short. A fantastic goalie, and getting her program in a position to succeed, especially defensively. The team has made leaps and bounds already in these 3 years or so under her tutelage, and again, having to deal with all the other mitigating circumstances around COVID and no season last year.
Well, championship teams respond to adversity, and led by a coach that has had a lot of adversity in her life.
Langmer scores. Off-balance shot from Meredith Langmer. Finds the twine, and the clock runs again with a 10-goal lead.
It just shows you to finish that point with Coach Wills, it just shows you that she's one of those people that want to bring the game of lacrosse and put a footprint wherever she is. And she always talks about that loss in the national championship as a motivating factor into why she stayed in the sport and why she wants to continue to grow the sport.
And how about this for Harvard? Every single player who has scored at least 2 goals now. Every goal scorer is a multi-goal scorer. All 8 of them for Harvard, 7 of which have 2, and Grace Holslander has 3. Also 3-point days for Hem, Meyer, and Malahi, as they each have assists.
Yeah, it's been a distribution of wealth offensively for the Crimson.
Terriers control the draw and go backwards with it. It is Agris back in goal. Both goalies seeing significant time for BU in this game. They'll have one final game on their season Friday afternoon. They'll host American on Senior Day over at Nickerson Field. Lauren Kay right down the chute, rips it wide.
This will be the most goals they've scored in a game since March 24th of 2019 when they beat Yale 18-8.
Similar looking score line today. BU keeps the ball moving. Barry down for Tillier. Catraro had to extend to get that one. Fakes the pass and then makes a pass for Gola. Gola all the way cross field. Barry to Kay. Kay starts it forward. Gives it off to the side for Gola, and a foul is drawn.
It looked like Kay drew the contact going in. It's going to be a free position here on the near side.
Yeah, Gola from a sharp angle. I think she's technically off the fan. Kay feeds for Barry, who also draws a foul. And this will be a free position for sure.
Good chance for Barry, who had a free position earlier. Missed just wide.
Barry in and scores. Barry with a 2-goal day. And it's 17-8.
Now if you're Harvard, you win this draw control, you can kill out the time here in the remainder of the fourth quarter. If you're Boston University, you can get some more momentum in the offensive zone.
Now Barry's now got 12 points in her last 5 games after a season-high 5 in that win against Merrimack College a couple weeks back. So although it wasn't the day that I expected it might be with Jennifer Barry and her draw controls, she does have a nice day with a couple goals. 3 draw controls today puts her up to 147 for the year. So she's 6 shy of the Patriot League record with 1 game to go. And that will put her still 3 shy. Excuse me, still 6 shy of tying Jill Horka for the career record at BU. So there will be multiple record watch on Friday for Barry. Both the Patriot League record and the career BU record. We get a yellow card here. Assessed to Harvard's Charlotte Swisher. So BU will potentially finish this game a woman up.
Yeah, Swisher just ran into Barry after she won the draw control, so drew the foul there inside the circle.
Pfaff being triple teamed. Terriers get fouled. Not a lot of space to work with as Harvard is trying to force a turnover here. Maybe a little situational lacrosse going on. Tick touched it over for Barry. Tillier on the grab. Catraro looking towards Isaacson. Pass was deflected into the clutches of Provenzano in the final minute of play.
Yeah, you got to give a lot of credit to the defense. They did a good job staying at bay in the zone and creating that turnover. Provenzano has been spectacular between the pipes today.
Harvard's running off the final 20 seconds in this game. They've got a bunch of new numbers out there as the Crimson looking for more first-time goal scorers. You can hear the sideline erupting as each new player gets a touch. It was Barons on the most recent one.
It's one of those things, right? As an athlete, you want your teammates to kind of go out there and show out, but as a competitor, you don't want to, harp on the wound too much.
This is Caroline Barons, sophomore, with a free position look here with 12 seconds on the clock. This could potentially be another first career. Barons stepping in and scores! It is the first career goal for Caroline Barons, and that is how the game is going to end.
What a way for the Crimson to come into this one. It starts off with some first career goals for Harvard and finishes off with some first career goals for the Crimson. A great balance of effort offensively and defensively. This was a fun one, Craig.
Harvard wins today by a final score of 18-8. Again, the big one is coming up on Saturday as they host Brown for a spot in the Ivy League tournament coming up at 2 on Saturday afternoon for the Terriers. They will have senior day and the end of their season coming up at 4 p.m. on Friday to conclude their season against American. Final score in this one for the final time is Harvard 18 and Boston University 8. For Luis Sanchez, I'm Craig White saying so long from Jordan Field. The final score is Harvard 18, BU 8. All games airing on the ESPN networks are streaming live and archived on the ESPN app. This has been a presentation of ESPN.